All right, I'd like to share with you the two instances in the Bible where it talks about the first day of the week, Sunday, as a religious gathering. But this one here, there's more to the story. In Acts chapter 20, verse 7, it says, "Upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread," I believe that's communion, "Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow," or tomorrow, "and continued his speech until midnight." Now, just about all scholars agree that this is a Saturday night, and the reason for that is that Jews reckoned their days from evening to the next day. Their day started at sunset. So this was a Saturday night meeting. Notice he's continuing till midnight, and he's ready to depart the next day. There is another verse that mentions Sunday in regard to religious services, and we'll look at that. All right, this is another instance of Paul here in 1 Corinthians 16. It says, "Upon the first day of the week, let everyone of you lay by himself in store, as God hath prospered him, so that there will be no gatherings when I come." Notice, on the first day of the week, that is when Paul is telling them to lay in store as God hath prospered them. These are tithes and offerings, okay? But notice, he's not saying a collection. He's saying put it in store for the church service that comes on the Sabbath. There are at least 7 instances in the book of Acts where there are worship services on the 7th day of the week. The idea is that you go ahead and put your money aside on the first day of the week so you won't spend it. This is not a religious service here. This is a religious practice. Now, in Jesus' great Sermon on the Mount, in Matthew 5:17, he says, "Think not that I'm come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill." But notice this, "For verily, or most assuredly, I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle," that's one dotting of the I or one crossing of a T, "shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." And it says, "Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." So very clearly, Jesus is saying that the law will not change. Till heaven and earth pass, not one little bit of it will change. He says, I'm not going to come to destroy the law. And then he warns against teaching people to break any of the commandments. Now, some will say he rose on Sunday and Pentecost happened on Sunday, and that is a fact. But the reality is he also died on Friday. He had the Last Supper on Thursday, and we were never told to sanctify those days. There's only one day that God sanctified, and that was the Sabbath, and it's a memorial of his creation. Let's look at that. As God finished his creation, it says, "And on the 7th day God ended," he stopped his work which he had made, "and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made." Notice, he blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that he had rested from all the work which God created and made. So notice, this is the only day that God says that he blessed and sanctified it. It's a memorial of his creation, and when you keep the 7th day Sabbath, you're remembering that he's the creator. Let's look at another instance. If you'll remember, there's only one thing that God himself actually wrote in the Bible, and that was the 10 Commandments. He wrote it with his finger in stone, and the 4th commandment starts off with remember. It's the only one that does. It's interesting. It's the one that people forget the most. It says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God." And notice how he preferences it. He says, "For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it." It's a special day, and it's a memorial of creation. Some will say, well, we'll just keep a day. It doesn't matter what day. We'll just go with any day, and that'll work out. But that's not what God said. He says, remember the 7th day. That is the day that reminds us of creation. We find all through the Bible that Jesus kept the seventh day. If you look through the Gospels, he kept the Sabbath. Some would say it's just because he was a Jew, but I don't know that that's the case. If he was going to change the law, he would have changed it before he died, because remember, the breaking of the law is the transgression of the law is death. And that's why he died on the cross. So if he was going to change the law, he would have changed it before he died. I want you to notice also that in heaven, we're going to keep the Sabbath. It says, "For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before you, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord." Now, if we're going to be keeping it in heaven, and in the second chapter of the Bible, he sanctified it and set it apart as holy, and it's the one thing that he wrote with his own finger in the Bible. The only thing that he actually wrote in the Bible is the Ten Commandments, and it's a memorial of creation. It makes you wonder why that's the only one that doesn't matter. Nobody's saying that you should commit adultery or worship idols or kill people or steal or covet, but the seventh day is the one that people have a problem with. The seventh day Sabbath. Paul kept it, Peter kept it, Jesus kept it, all the patriarchs kept it, Moses kept it. We'll be keeping it in heaven. It stands to reason, why would we not be keeping it now? Now, of course, with the law, we don't keep the law to earn salvation. I don't kill people in order to be saved. I kill people because I don't kill people because I am saved. It's the reason for salvation. It's not the cause of it. In Matthew 7:7, Jesus even says that he is the Lord of the Sabbath. He's the boss of the Sabbath. So if he's the boss of the Sabbath, I don't know if I want to get in the way of that. Besides, if you take the time to actually practice Sabbath keeping, putting aside all secular activities and all work and focus on God, nature, and family, I'm going to tell you, you will have a longer and more healthy life. You'll find great benefit in it. So I want to encourage you. I don't care if you're a Sunday keeper. You're probably a greater saint than I am. But I want to encourage you to not forget the day that God said, remember. Y'all be blessed. Have a great day. I'm praying for you at church today. I pray the Holy Spirit is poured out in your church service today, whether it's Sunday or Saturday. God bless you all.